Jones County, Mississippi, a place burned with the bloodstained past of the Civil War. Confederate and Union soldiers alike call parts of Mississippi their final resting place. Some even go by the name of Unknown Soldier. These soldiers are unsung heroes of the past with no name and a story that is yet to be told. But there is one story that has been told and passed down for decades. This is the story of Major Amos McLemore and the man who took his life, Newt Knight. Or, at least, that's how the story goes. Amos McLemore was a major in the Confederate Army who was charged with one goal: to capture Newt Knight and his gang of runaways and bring them back to the Confederacy. Major McLemore was using the Deason home as a base while searching the nearby swamps for Newt. One day, Newt decided that Major McLemore was getting too close to finding them, so Newt had his men draw straws to see who would be the one to assassinate the Major. But Newt decided that the man who drew the short straw did not have the guts to go through with it, so Newt said he would do it himself. That night, Newt barged into the Deason home, where Major McLemore was standing, and shot him. Newt Knight got away, and Major McLemore died on a cart 3 days later. You know, history is fascinating and all, but I'd much rather hear the story from the ones who were actually there. Wouldn't you? It's SPI, we're at the Deason home. Joe's on camera, he's our new man. We got Caleb, we got Jacob. First room we're heading into is bedroom. Got the attic right upstairs, the hallway right here. Right here, you can see right there, that's the original dress of the owner's wife of the house. The original shirt of the owners of the house. We hoping for a real good night. We've had some power drains so far already. Cell phones died. The first hour light for the cameras died. We've got a real hot room over there. It was used as a surgical room in the Civil War. We got some pretty interesting stuff going on. Matt King's right behind you. What you got, Matt?
Just make sure you can go to the kids' room.
Yeah.
All right, heard.
Yeah.
All right.
Go to the kids' room, big guy. The kids' room that Matt's referring to is said to be haunted by a child. I sent Matt in there to see if he can figure out what it is exactly that's going on. Another claim in this room is that people have seen the chair moving in there on its own. Hopefully Matt will be able to figure out both of these phenomenons. Go for Justin team. Ashley, be advised, Matt's going to be right in front of you. Folks, sitting down, voice recorder. Voice recorder, note all activity to be disregarded for us coming into the room. We're tagging everything on our digital voice recorder up to now so that whenever we go back to review evidence, we don't mistake anything we say, touch, or move for something paranormal. Temperature went up. Back down. At this point in the investigation, we've only been investigating for about 10 minutes, but things really start heating up when we start having a very intelligent flashlight conversation. Is there anybody in here? There is. We appreciate it.
Hello. Can you turn that back off?
Yeah, we need to turn that off now.
We can ask you some questions.
Earlier in the investigation, the team had informed whatever was in the room with them that flashlight was very easy to turn off and on, and that if there was a yes for an answer, to turn on that light. And as you can see, we got our first intelligent response of the night. The team now decides to go through a list of questions to see if they can determine who it is that they're communicating with. And the result may shock you. We've been told there's some spirits in this house. Were you an owner of the house? If you were, can you cut that light on, please, one more time? We'd like to communicate with you with that flashlight if you could. No Josh moving stuff. You were not the owner of the house. If you were, turn the light on. If you were not, leave it off.
Look, my phone vibrating.
If you were the wife of an owner of the house, turn that light on. If your name is Amos.
No, refrigerator turning on.
Your name's Amos?
Hello. Can you turn that off if your name is Amos?
Kind of confirm it for us, please. Turn it back off if your name is Amos. and we'll figure out which one you are. Thank you. That might take a lot of energy to do. We'll give you some time to cut it back on. Is your name Amos Deason? If it is, cut that light on for me, please. No Jacob moving, readjusting. If your name is Amos Deason, please cut that light on. You just want to talk. We're not here for us, we're here for you. If your name is Amos McLemore, please cut that light on. Dude. As paranormal investigators, it is our job to gather the most accurate information as possible. And through the investigative questions that I was asking here, we were able to determine exactly who it was that we were in communication with. Thank you. Thank you, Amos McLemore. Please cut that light off.
There's definitely something happened.
Please cut that light off. Major Amos McLemore. Thank you, sir. Thank you. That's excellent. So there's a story about this place. It says that you were killed in the room right across the hall by a man named Newt Knight. If that's true, turn that light on for me. We all know that Major McLemore was not killed in the house. He was shot. He died on a cart 3 days later. The reason I ask this question is to determine the accuracy of the answers that we are getting. Through this question, we determine exactly how accurate these answers are.
Okay, so my hair is tingling now. And it hadn't been doing it.
We want to know your story, Mr. Amos. Major Amos.
You might need to.
If you were killed in that room by Newt Knight, please put that light on for me.
Don't forget you can talk into the voice recorder.
You might need to come back on me and
Hold on a second. I got a really important question. The investigation goes on for several more minutes. We continue asking questions that we already know the answer to. But again, we ask these questions to determine exactly how accurate the answers that we're getting from the flashlight are. And again, the end result may surprise you. Major McLemore, were you killed in that room across the hall? Were you killed in front of that fireplace?
And your body maybe.
Is that your blood on the floor?
If that is your blood, if you were killed in that room, please cut that light on.
Well, you didn't die in that room, you were shot.
There you go.
You died 3 days later.
We know the story. We're asking questions. That's my boy right there. Thank you, Major McLemore. With the questions that we asked, the light only came on when the story checked out. When the story was accurate with the questions that we asked, that was when the light responded, proving more that we were obviously in the presence of an intelligent spirit. Got a couple more questions for you. Man, that's awesome. Thank you, Major McLemore. Was it Newt Knight that shot you, Major McLemore? Was it Newt Knight that busted down that door and shot you in that room? Cut that light on if it's true.
Don't hear that?
What did you hear?
Heard a voice. I don't know what it said, but I heard something came from behind me. Temperature fluctuated, went up.
When you heard that voice, I heard popping that going on in the next room. In the kitchen.
Major McLemore,
That sounded like a yelp.
Major McLemore, I didn't answer my question, please. Just cut that light on. If it was Newt Knight that shot you in that room. Is that you, Joe?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Major Macklemore, here's the big question. If it was not Newt Knight that shot you in that room, cut that light on. If it was not Newt. That is incredible. This right here is what paranormal research is all about. Paranormal investigators strive every investigation to capture what we just have on video. This is truly an incredible piece of history-changing evidence.
The screen is steadily darkening around y'all.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, because
That's because the IR light's cut off from the... Thank you, Major Macklemore. I'm sorry. Would you please cut the light off for me?
the hour light went out.
IR light's still on?
No, it's out.
No, it's on. How's it look?
I can barely see you. You're about the only one that could fit in there.
Really?
It's almost dead.
What Joe is referring to may be what we call in the paranormal field a power drain. It is thought that maybe these spirits or entities that are with us may draw their power from these electronic devices that we use. And considering that we've already had one IR light die, and now this one is going out, and that both of them were fully charged when the investigation began, leads us to question whether this may be what we're experiencing or not. With the evidence that we've gathered in this room, we decided to swap up with Team 2. Matt and Josh are going to be entering the long room, which was used as a surgical room during the Civil War.
So what's your name?
Josh and Matt are trying to communicate with whatever's in the room using a tool called the spirit box. It's a radio that shuffles through frequencies at an extremely high rate, causing white noise, which is said to be a portal through which entities or spirits can communicate through.
Give us a full name.
Right here, Josh asked the spirit or entity that he's trying to communicate with to give him a full name. And later that night, we're all stunned by what we find. After about 20 minutes of investigating with the spirit box, Josh and Matt get no replies. So they decide to go with the flashlight technique that Team 1 was using earlier in the investigation. That's when things start heating up.
You got that, didn't you? Get that?
I believe so.
There was no way.
As you see, only a few short minutes after setting up the flashlight, they get a very active response. Both flashlights start rolling off of a level table, hit the ground, then start rolling back uphill towards Matt and Josh.
Please tell me somebody got that. Ten-4, picking up the flashlights. Can I get some light?
After several minutes of trying to replicate what just happened with the lights rolling off the table, Matt and Josh are unable to figure out what it was that caused it. Shortly after, another phenomenon happens, when the light starts strobing on its own.
Correct. Make note, that's the flashlight on the left. There are two flashlights side by side. Negative, just one. Oh, there it goes.
Again, the flashlight rolls off the table and then rolls uphill towards Josh and Matt, while still strobing. This is something that us, as paranormal investigators, have never seen before.
It's still flashing.
Team 1 is sitting at base camp, watching everything that goes on in that room from the static cameras we have set up. Matt has been in constant communication with me, and we are working as a team trying to figure out what's causing these phenomena.
We had some action of it, yeah.
Some action of that.
After several minutes of no interaction, Josh decides to turn on the spirit box again to see if he can establish a line of communication.
You want to talk to us now?
No. You hear that?
Immediately after Josh turns on the spirit box again to establish a line of communication, they get an intelligent response. I will loop it back several times so everyone watching this video will hear exactly what we're hearing.
You want to talk to us now?
No. You hear that?
You want to talk to us now?
No. You hear that?
You want to talk to us now?
No. You hear that?
After this, Josh and Matt continue their investigation with the spirit box.
But answer me one question. Yes or no? Do you want me to leave? Come on. Yes or no?
Dude, this said yes.
After Matt asks the question if it wants him to leave or not, you get two very distinct answers. I will loop this video several times so that you at home can hear it yourself.
Come on. Yes or no?
Dude, this said yes.
Come on. Yes or no?
Dude, this said yes.
Come on. Yes or no?
Dude, this said yes.
After this response, Josh and Matt decide that it's probably the best idea to leave. So they conclude the investigation in the long room.
Yes.
Yep. All right.
Dude, that was good.
Okay.
I heard that.
I'm a man of my word.
Team 2 has managed to add more evidence to what Team 1 has already gathered in the Deason home. This investigation is turning out to be everything that we hoped it would, but we are just beginning to scratch the surface. During Josh and Matt's investigation of the long room, Caleb Watts was doing a solo investigation in what's known as the kids' room, where no activity occurred. Caleb ended his investigation at the same time Josh and Matt did. While Josh was doing his interview with the camera, he noticed out of the corner of the eye the chair moving, which was also another phenomenon that is known to occur in the house.
Somebody's been in that chair, right? Is anybody in there?
No, they all just left. You sure it can't because he just got out of it?
Dude, no. That thing was rocking.
It's still rocking. I'm looking at it right now.
Later that night, during the investigation off camera, Team 1 was able to go in and figure out what it was exactly that was causing that chair to move. The chair and the ground create an extremely off-balance weight position that makes the chair move for an extended period of time when someone gets out of it. This was what Josh was seeing, considering that Caleb had been out of the chair for a good 10 minutes. This is what we like to call debunked, meaning that this is a paranormal phenomenon about the house that has been solved. In that scene where our cameraman Joe is approaching the chair, you see some sort of strange anomaly pass in front of the screen. Here's the anomaly again, zoomed in, but slowed down this time. Because this anomaly doesn't act or behave in any particular way, nor does it have any type of structure to it, we cannot claim this as being paranormal, just simply something that we can't explain. After a short intermission, the GCOM team resumed their investigation of the Deason home. Jacob, Josh, and Matt revisited the long room, where they caught one of the most incredible pieces of audio evidence we as the GCOM team have ever encountered.
Haven't seen much of Mr. Deason in all my.
How about you was there?
Right here, Josh catches one of the most incredible pieces of audio evidence I personally have ever heard. On Josh's digital voice recorder, you hear him say that he hasn't seen much of Mr. Deason in the home. He gets a response and it says, "Not me." Listen closely. I will loop this several times so that you at home can hear.
Haven't seen much of Mr. Deason in all my.
How about you was there?
Hadn't seen much of Mr. Deason in all my. Not me.
How about you?
Hadn't seen much of Mr. Deason in all my. Not me.
How about you was there?
That's not my voice.
No. By no means. Come on.
That's not me.
What makes this piece of audio evidence so incredible is the fact that it has structure. There's hardly any white noise behind it, and it is a direct response to what Josh says. This is what we in the paranormal field like to call a Class A EVP, meaning it is the highest grade of electronic voice phenomenons that there is to capture. Truly an incredible piece of evidence from the Deason home. As the investigation starts to wind down, myself and Matt decide to go back to the long room, since that's where most of our evidence has come from tonight. And what we find is no surprise given the night that we've had so far.
Yeah, let me get that spirit box. You got Matt, you got it?
Yeah.
I don't even know how this works, do you?
I don't know. Where's Josh for?
Nope, that don't count. That was me.
After several minutes of trying to use the burst EVP sessions and the flashlight technique, myself and Matt attempt to use the spirit box again. What we get is pretty cool.
Say my name again.
You just said the whole name?
You just said my whole name.
Right here, you hear my full name, Justin Pritchett, come across the spirit box. Earlier in the investigation, Josh Divablis in this same room said for whatever was in there to say a full name.
Give us a full name.
We got our full name. I will loop this several times so that you at home can hear it.
Say my name again.
You just said the whole name?
You just said my whole name. Say my name again.
You just said the whole name?
You just said my whole name. Say my name again.
You just said the whole name?
You just said my whole name.
This kind of evidence is no surprise considering what we've gotten all night from the long room. As the investigation starts to come to a close, myself and Lacey Stringer decide to do an investigation by ourselves in the room where Amos McLemore was shot. During mine and Lacey's investigation, we didn't have any camera besides the static cameras that we use. Therefore, there is no audio with this footage. But as you can see right here, some mysterious ball of energy descends from the ceiling into Lacey's head. Here it is again in slow motion. But the most interesting part about this is not but a few seconds later, this happens. Here it is again in slow motion. My boots did not slip. My leg did not fall off of my knee. There was a pressure on my foot and a tug on my boot. And both of my feet were dragged across the floor. This was something that I had personally never experienced in my life. The Deason home investigation has got to be one of the most incredible investigations that the GCOM team had ever been on. We've never had a more impressive EVP captured, nor have we ever had a more impressive physical experience. The evidence that we have gathered here at the Deason home truly shows that something paranormal is going on. We have the evidence to prove that. But will anyone ever truly know the mysteries of the Deason home? Maybe one day. But you can rest assured, the GCOM team will be back to the Deason home.